Hello, dear friends. This is Harvest of Light by Emmanuel, a book that was first psychographed in Portuguese, Ceifa de Luz, and psychographed. The author is the Spirit Emmanuel, the medium Francisco Cândido Xavier, Chico Xavier, or Chico Xavier, however you like it. He psychographed in 1972, published in 1979. This book is a true plea for light. It brings to us insights that are unique. And I say unique because they are very deep. They come to us to really open our eyes to see angles of life we have never seen. Emmanuel, in his wisdom, working closely together with Jesus, brings to us a message that may potentially change our lives. And I see friends coming in. Welcome, friends. I can see you. Today we're studying chapter 16. It's been 17 days, including the preface. Today 16, it's about freedom. Very interesting, because yesterday we were talking about the conquest of compassion. And on the basis of compassion lies the importance of understanding. Today we're going to talk about freedom, because we can only make a choice if we are free, right? If we are free. So when you say you are conquering something, you're conquering something out of your choice. And that's free will. So let's understand freedom. Who likes to be free? The question is, who doesn't? Everybody does. I want to be free from impediments, free from obstacles, free from difficulties, free to do whatever I like. Aha! That's where problems begin. I'm not going to say more. That's just a teaser. So we can begin. When we reincarnate, there is a plan. But we can change the plan. We can change the plan according to our choices. The choices we make. So let us see what Emmanuel wants to teach us tonight. Shall we, friends? Welcome, welcome, dear souls. Subject of Freedom, chapter 16 in the book Harvest of Light, by Emmanuel through Chico Xavier. Emmanuel then quotes from Paul to the Galatians in chapter 5, verse 1. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm, then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery. Emmanuel then, in his turn, explains to us. It is important to think how Jesus will have promoted our liberation. The Divine Master did not call us to any reaction against administrative standards in the movement of the community, nor did he unfurl any flag of outward demands. Jesus only obeyed the divine laws, making the best of his own life and the time he had for the benefit of all. He will have had struggles and conflicts in the personal scope of his own activities. Incomprehensible affections, frail companions, adversaries and persecutors did not lack. But none of this made Jesus turn against the hierarchy or against the security of the community life. Finally, the acceptance of the cross signaled his supreme obedience to the laws of God. Think about this and understand that the Christ taught us the way of liberation in ourselves. Duty observed, fulfilled measures are right. Duty observed and fulfilled measures our right to act independently. There is no freedom and respect without obligation and performance. Let us meditate on this lesson so that we do not fall again under the ancient and heavy yoke of our own passions. Whew, that's concentrated message. We would say this is what we define as a concentrated message. 10 paragraphs of explanation leading us into true reflections. Every day we wake up like, I wish I could, I would like, and then everything presents itself against our will, and then we are enraged. So, where do we begin? Emmanuel says it. It's important, he says, it's important for us to observe the way he phrases things. He begins by quoting an explanation of Paul to the Galatians, talking about our passions. And he says that Christ has set us free. Really? Where's our freedom? Many people don't feel free. Do you feel yourself free? Do you? Scale 0 to 10. 0 being like, I don't feel free at all. And 10, I feel free, 100%. Where do you think you are? Because when we reach that level of synchronicity with the Christ of the earth, we'll feel free, though very dutiful. Often it's the reverse. We feel imprisoned and not very dutiful. Because it's not a to-do list, it's a to-want list. Number 1, I want this. Number 2, I want that. Number 3, endless. I want wishes. Wishes. I wake up wishing. Is that a problem? No. The problem is not knowing how much of what we want is matching what God wants. Since ancient times, since the Old Testament, we have accounts of accounts. We have, for example, the account of Joshua. After the death of Moses, Joshua listened to the voice of God. That's what they report. And Joshua heard God saying, go to the city of Jericho and walk around the walls of the city for 6 days without saying anything with your people. And then the city will be yours. Joshua couldn't understand how that would be possible, but he did it. And he succeeded. Besides the symbolic features in the story, which we're not going to discuss, we're going to discuss here the central theme of this account: listening to God. Freedom, goodwill, duty are all in the same sentence, in the same equation. We will not be able to be free. Freedom is equal to duty fulfilled. Duty fulfilled and goodwill. Then we'll be free. I know it's easier said than done, but he says it's important to think how Jesus promoted our liberation. Well, Emmanuel is saying so. He first is saying, do not stay stuck in rebelling against the administration. Do your part, but do not That's not the focus. It's not an external freedom. He says to us that Jesus only obeyed the divine laws. So if he is our guide and model, we should observe him. How compliant have we been? Ah, Vanessa, I don't know. I don't even know about the law. Fair enough. So let's go to the Spirit's Book by Allan Kardec. Third part, Divine, Natural and Divine Laws. Read it, study, make a checklist. What are the main concepts that I need to focus upon? And that's a beautiful program for our inner refinement. Because our guide and model just fulfilled. He was not concerned about if others were not fulfilling, which is usually what we do. Usually, we're concerned about what people don't do, how compliant they are not, and then we feel like our duty is to make them be compliant. Big mistake. Making the best of his own life and the time he had for the benefit of all. So let me put a pause. If you're asking, for example, let's say somebody in your life is making a huge mistake and you're being abused, family members are being abused, and that person is a high risk for society in general, almost a criminal. What do? Well, you need to be conscientious and turn this person to the police, to law enforcement. That's a sure thing. That does not mean that you're not compassionate. That means that you care for the general good. And keeping that person away from society is charity. Not to say an obligation. So what Emmanuel is saying here is not that you should wash your hands and not care about the general good, not care about your duties in your job, not care about your duties in your family. No. He said, care about what you need to care, but do not worry if others in their own thing they're not doing it. Some people say, oh, I'm not happy because my husband, my wife, my this, my boss, my relative, my life is so difficult. I feel in a prison. Should we change that feeling? I think so. Look at Livia. Livia, in the book 2,000 years ago, was not understood by her husband. She was slandered for 25 years. And yet, she felt as free as she could be to continue following the Christ until her own martyrdom, which was voluntary. Voluntary because not that she committed suicide, but she even protected her own slave, her best friends. So for us, Jesus made the best of his own life. That's the guidance for us. The time he had for the benefit of all. So if you are a policeman, or a policewoman, a judge, a lawyer, you need to do your part for the benefit of all. If you're a teacher and you need to correct your student, you need to do it. If you're a mother, a father, and you need to educate your child, correct your child, you have to do it. But what he's saying is not to react against, but take action. There is a difference. To react It's always out of anger, fear, spite, jealousy. When we take action, and it's a beneficial action, it's out of love, compassion, peace, and it's calm. Let's say you participate in an organization and you are a member and they are not fulfilling their, the organization is doing things that are not charitable, not acceptable. What do? You're not condemning, but we're saying, as a member of it, we don't agree. Because if we don't say anything, we are part of it. And if it's wrong, we're vouching for it. So there's no such thing like bliss of ignorance, because you know what's happening. And if you're part of it, you need not to condemn, but say, I don't agree. And you go live your life. Right, Lisa Teles? Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, friends. So he says he always had struggles, conflicts, incomprehensible affections. Companions were weak, right? Adversaries, persecutors. But nothing made Jesus turn against the hierarchy or the security of the community life. When I see nowadays people who are leaders inciting other people against one another, politicians in the world, blackmailing emotionally, manipulating their society against others, they are not balanced. They are not balanced. Nelson Mandela was in prison. He didn't turn the country against the government. We need to open our eyes and be wiser and observe who people really are. Finally, Jesus accepted the cross as a supreme sign of obedience to God. There are situations in which you can do nothing but accept what God is bringing to us. Sometimes you want to move to a new house, but nothing's working. Sometimes you want to have a child, and you don't succeed getting pregnant. You want to adopt, you don't succeed. You want a new job, it's not happening. But God knows it's not happening. Did you know that God knows? If God is omnipotent, He can do anything, and it's not happening, then I ask God, why is this not happening? Am I wrong? Or do you want me to persist a little more? And you know how you will know the answer? By your own feelings. Because when we are in synchronicity with God, we feel the strength to endure, to be resilient and persist. When we feel angry and we feel like, I will persist, nothing is going to change my mind, but you do it out of rage, we doubt if that is the fulfillment of God's laws. So that's a thermometer for us. When we want something and it's not happening, how can we measure the waters of our will if our will is calibrated or not? The feelings I have. I pray and I say, God, why is it? Why? You may not get an answer particularly, but you get a feeling that tells you, go on, Keep going because it's gonna happen. Keep insisting. You want a job, send new job applications. Trusting that the right one will come. Keep trying if you want to move, etc. To be more patient, to be more tolerant, to work on your addiction, to work on that relationship that still doesn't unfold as harmonious as you want. But God knows. God knows. And why doesn't it happen yet? But if after praying, I still feel that rage, and as if that frustration is a blow to my ego, stop and say, okay, God, I will stop here. And if you want me to think otherwise, give me a sign, please. Show me the way. I want to keep myself harmonious, calibrated, in peace. That is faith. It's fueled, powered by faith. You cannot see it, but you trust that the next step is a sure thing, that you are not alone. So then he says, think about this and understand that the Christ taught us the way of liberation in ourselves. We are free from within. So it doesn't depend on people in our lives. It depends on us. So tonight, we got it. If I want to feel free, but people tell about me, stop. They did about the Christ Jesus, for God's sake. Who cares? From now to lives to come, we better get used to that. People on earth will talk, blah, 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 blah. And then we respect, but it doesn't change our action. You're not puppet of the public opinion of yours, are you? Majority of us are like this. We're not fulfilling our reincarnatory plan because we're constantly observing what people are saying. If people like it, I do it. So then your next vacation, you don't go and take your spiritual retreat as priority. You go to Hawaii just because everybody's going to Hawaii, and my work, everybody's going to Hawaii. I have to go to Hawaii. And then you miss the boat. Now everybody's talking about X, and then you go spend the money in X instead of taking that money and spending in Y and helping somebody else. And then I spend my whole life doing things as a puppet of people in my life. Not necessarily people want to control you. Besides the discarnate spirits and a few incarnates or many incarnates, I don't know. But then I end up doing what people want and not what I have to do. What my parents want, what my spouse wants, what my children wants. And I'll never forget when at the Spirit Society of Baltimore many years ago, a mother of a 9-year-old boy came to me and said, I have to stop coming to the center. I said, why? Because my son doesn't like that I come here. But he's 9. I understand. But he's not happy. Wow. So you were quitting your spiritual nourishment because of your son. Wow. I cannot even imagine what's going to happen when he turns 18, 20, 28. Or people who say the same. Oh, my spouse is not happy that I come. And then you stop. Livia didn't stop. Meeting the Christians, following Jesus Christ, in spite of the dangers, in spite of her husband's will, at a time in which women had to follow through or else. That's why we need to read the book 2,000 years ago and 50 years later, and Hail Christ, and Renunciation. Because we can only fulfill our duties when we have a connection. A connection in which we search for the answer. Because if I observe around me the horizontal life, I will be lost, delaying my conquests. I know some people, they do things because others do as well. Not only teenagers. Peer pressure. Peer pressure also happens with adults. In order to be liked, accepted and approved of, we surrender to that peer pressure. And here we are, not fulfilling our duty. Everybody's saying, oh, you're great. But then on the other side, the spirits are like, oh my gosh, that's not what they promised. Duty observed and fulfilled measures our right to act independently. What is this independently that he's saying? Independent of God? No. Independent of the tutorship of Jesus? No. Independent of our passions. Freedom. So to be free, I need to fulfill my duties. Whether people like it or not, accept it or not, love it or not, you do what you gotta do. It's between God and you. There is no freedom and respect without obligation and work performance. No freedom and respect. Jesus, your guiding model, my guiding model. Question, is Jesus your guiding model for everything? He's our guiding model. He never, ever, he has never done anything because people were pressuring him. Somebody would come to receive healing, and he didn't heal like, oh my gosh, some people, past givers are like this. Oh my gosh, this person came here to be here, what do I do? Oh my gosh, what do I do? I do that. You don't do anything because it's not you, it's God. Relax. But then people are going to be disappointed and frustrated. I have to dance and show mediumistic phenomena for them to believe that we're for real. Oh, really? So now it's an ego thing that we're for real? I don't need to prove anything that I'm a real medium, that I'm a good medium. People believe or not, trick myself or not, Joseph always says, when somebody wants to trick somebody else's mediumship to see how real it is, they are not doing well. However conclusion they get, they are not balanced. Because if somebody's well, they don't trick anything and anyone. Right? So, exactly, Wagner Jr., no one needs to know. Exactly. Where do we think we are in our daily lives? Sometimes we're imprisoned because we want to be approved by those people, by our parents. Oh, our parents, they're going to love us if we have a lot of money, if we're famous. That's not love. That's ego. Parents who love their children in these conditions, they don't love their children. They use their children. They use. I remember once in Baltimore, somebody was telling me at work, oh, my sister is going to have a baby. It's going to be a baby boy. We are hoping that he's going to be an NBA star. So then everybody's going to be rich. And I turned to this boy and I asked him, like, are you kidding me? No, I'm serious. We already have plans on how to train him so he can be an NBA player, etc. And I'm like, Mamma mia, poor child, barely born and already at the mercy of this immense family pressure. Wow. Wow. Who do we love the most? God? Ourselves? Others? Do you think other people are like gods for you? No, they're not. Even if they are super famous. You don't need their approval for you to do what you need to do. You better do what you need to do, like Jesus did. Because if you don't, he says, let us meditate on this lesson so we do not fall again under the ancient and heavy yoke of our own passions. We have been doing this for lives. Old conditionings that we keep repeating. Out of fear, out of jealousy, out of spite, out of anger. But we don't do what we need to do out of love, peace, compassion. We feel again. The book The Messengers by André Luiz gives us several accounts of this. In the case of a man who was prepared for 30 years in the spiritual realm. He incarnated when he was supposed to take care of his 6 adopted siblings. He turned them down and said, no, I don't have time for you. He was not supposed to marry. He married, etc., etc. He failed. Because society says, oh my gosh, you're going to sacrifice your life to take care of other people's children. You're going to sacrifice your life to help. You're going to sacrifice your life, and then we applaud those who are constantly traveling, constantly eating out, constantly partying. Whoa, living a life. Wait until consciousness does the dling, 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 the bell rings, dling, 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 and says, I'm way off. Because you know, this is the strategy of the obsessors. They make us blind. We don't see it. We think we are right because everybody's right. That's the direction everybody's taking. If I don't, oh my gosh. And then, one day, usually in our retiring years, and that's why it's so hard to see happy elderly people, because usually they carry a load of guilt and regret. They cannot smile. If you see Divaldo Franco smiling as much as he does, the Dalai Lama, the Thich Nhat Hanh, because they made choices that were not under the wings of their passions. There's never a point when you help others and you're not fulfilled. When we really help others, we're so happy and fulfilled that we always want to do more. Always. Like Jesus. You sacrifice your passions because you're helping people. Instead of being home on a Saturday morning, doing nothing, you decide to go and help an organization. Oh my gosh, I could just sleep a whole lot more. Yeah, and at the end of the day, you're sad and tired, confused, empty, feeling that void within. But then you go there and spend an hour or two. You come home and you feel like for the rest of the day, you're full of joy for the exchange with people, the much you learned, the much you gave. And there are people who still insist, I'm giving a lot. No, you are not. Because when you really do, you're fulfilled. Right, Rudy? Yes, I agree. We're thankful to everyone in both realms of life. And it says ancient because it's been many lives, and heavy yoke of passions. Many lives we've been searching for the ideal companion. For many lives we've been searching for material conditions. For many lives we've been focused on the material things. This is the life we're being asked to do what? To calibrate our will with God's will. That's the message of freedom. We are free. Look at Divaldo. So dutiful and yet so joyful, so free. Look at us. Not yet so dutiful and often not so joyful, not so feeling free. That's why Emmanuel always says, serve more, serve more, serve more, forgive ourselves, serve more. Right? That's the message of today. That's the message for all of us, to really free ourselves from our passions. That's the freedom that Christ came to give to us. He says, you are better than that. He said to the woman of the well, you don't need to search for another companion, my friend. You need this guidance. You don't need another house, another car, another coffee maker, another pen, another chair, another haircut, another body. If we are at the end of the life, oh God, if this is my graduation, so be it. Set me free so I can fly back to our spiritual home. Yes? So this is the message of freedom, freedom of our passions. What shall we do together as a collective exercise in the next 24 hours? Let us cut down, at least for 24 hours, one of these passions. Cut down from our list. Oh, I want to be free and just be wild and free. Well, the next 24 hours, in a good Saturday, let us think about what can I do to make people happier in my life, in my community, in my city, my state, my country, in this planet. Because with social media, you can reach the planet in the click of a button. Right? Sometimes it's about stopping less. These fantasy posts that people do when they take a vacation. They live a miserable life throughout the year. And then they take a few days of vacation and they portray to the world that they are living the high life. A lie. It's a lie. And it's a lie. A lie, a lie, a lie. Because if you really do have a good life, you don't have time to take a picture of every step of what you're doing. Except to Adilson that is taking pictures for the benefit of all. Right, Adilson? We're talking about people who take pictures of the plate they're eating, of the thought they're thinking, of the... Mamma mia, you're not helping the world by doing this because you're publishing a lie. And by publishing that lie, you are creating sadness in the hearts of others and vice versa. So let us be more sincere. As Mentor Joseph said recently, we need to be more sincere. We need to be more honest and be who we are, free from the passions of the ego, including free from this passion of portraying whom we are not, the life we don't live in actuality. I know the message today is strong, but when we talk about freedom, the price we pay for freedom is high because it comes with duties fulfilled and observed. Shall we, friends? In the next 24 hours, we're going to cut down one of our passions together. And meanwhile, we await for the next chapter that Emmanuel is going to bring to us. Breathe in and out deeply and absorb the invitation to a freer life. And if it's not enough, Emmanuel, in his wisdom, wrote the next chapter. If it's a blow in our ego, he says, humility. That's the next chapter. Right, Rudy? I love you. And you too, guys. He's telling us if this is a blow in our ego, don't worry. Tomorrow he has a remedy. Let us practice this. And tomorrow he comes and says to us the following. He says to us, the law of renovation. Let us remember that we are found inevitably connected to the life of God, which in benefit of our own life today and always will ask us to change, to move, to transform, etc., etc., etc. Shall we, friends? Big hug to you. Beautiful night if you're going to sleep. Beautiful day if you're going to continue your day. And let us keep ourselves united and strong in this goal of inner refinement. After all, you are a child of God. We're sculpting this child of God to shine so brightly and never regret it. A hug and a kiss. Thank you, Aiva Ribeiro, Nora Brasil, Karina Alice, Sunshine, Rudy, Cristiano Santos, Maria Helena Marques, Wagner Júnior, Lívia Moraes, Margaret Carmo, Sunshine, and Angelita, Marlene Vieira, Silvio Donizete Ferreira, Lisa Teles, how are you? Ana Oliveira, Valéria Benfica, Rosa Maria, Raquel Leon, Sol, hello Sol, Hipólito, how are you? Rihanna, Julija, Luciana, Machado, Luz Entuani, Nora Brasil, Célia Lancaster. So friends, here we are, together forever you stay in my heart, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.